Okay, welcome to week 6 of MGT 5905, Information Systems and Technology Management. This week, we're going to examine how business intelligence and decision support systems help organizations convert data into insights and use those insights to improve operational, managerial, and strategic decisions. And I just want to commend you guys. You're two of you in this class. I know it's a small class, but your attendance and engagement in this course is not lost on me. It really shows me that you're committed to your education and professional growth, which is an awesome thing. So we want to move into this. This week focuses on data, insight, and decision support. The presentation focuses on how organizations use business intelligence and decision support tools to improve managerial and strategic decision making. We begin with business intelligence itself and how it helps make organizational performance more visible. And from there, we'll move into the data foundations that support visibility, including big data warehouses and data mining. We've already covered some of these, and we'll just show how they're used in business intelligence and decision support, how they're applied. The third section looks at dashboards, scorecards, and predictive analytics as tools to help managers monitor performance and anticipate change. And then we turn directly to decision support systems and their role in strengthening judgment when decisions become more complex. And then we'll close with some takeaways, and then we'll look at a brief look ahead at week 7. From data collection to managerial insight, organizations gain decision value when raw data is transformed into visible, usable insight for managers. So here we establish the basic logic of the presentation. Organizations collect data constantly through transactions, customer activity, operational processes, and digital systems. By itself, that data has limited value. The image on the slide shows how business intelligence turns raw data into meaningful insight. On the left, we begin with different forms of organizational data, including transaction records, customer interactions, operational metrics, spreadsheets, and file-based sources. And this is important because organizations usually start with large amounts of disconnected data rather than data with immediate clarity. In the center, BI tools or business intelligence tools layer shows where value is created. Those tools help integrate data from multiple sources, organize and filter it, visualize it through charts and dashboards, and analyze patterns and relationships and generate reports. In other words, business intelligence helps convert raw inputs into something more structured and usable. And on the right, we see outputs that managers actually use. Performance indicators, trend lines, comparisons, alerts, and dashboards that support discussion and decision making. And the main point of this slide is that data creates decision value only when it's organized, analyzed, and presented in ways that make patterns and priorities visible. Business intelligence helps organizations convert dispersed data into organized visibility for performance monitoring and decision making. This visual shows business intelligence as the layer that connects raw organizational data into managerial action. So it's similar to the one that we had just before. On the left, the slide begins with multiple data sources such as sales, finance, operations, customers, and inventory. And this matters because organizations usually don't make decisions from a single source. Relevant data is often spread across departments and systems. And what we're doing is going a little deeper layer into the sources on the other side. In the center, the BI layer shows where the value is created. BI does more than collect the data, integrates, organizes, analyzes, and delivers information in a more usable form. The surrounding functions highlight key business intelligence activities such as data integration, transformation, quality, governance, modeling, and analytics. And together, these help turn scattered data into something that managers can interpret more confidently. The idea of creating one trusted source of data is especially important. BI, or business intelligence, reduces fragmentation and inconsistency so the organization can work from a more shared view of performance. On the right, the outputs show what decision makers actually use. The dashboards provide quick visibility, reports provide summaries, KPIs or key performance indicators focus attention on important measures, and trend analysis helps show patterns over time. And these outputs support executive, managers, analysts, and teams across the organization. And then the bottom flow summarizes the overall logic: collect, organize, and analyze, then present for decisions. And that's the core value of BI. It turns scattered organizational data into clear managerial visibility that can support better decisions. Big data changes the scale and the speed of decisions. Big data also changes the scope of decisions. So now we introduce why big data matters in business intelligence. Traditional reporting often worked from smaller, more stable data sets, but modern organizations generate data at much greater scale and speed. This visual shows that progression clearly. On the left, the slide highlights different forms of big data, including structured data, such as transactions, semi-structured data, such as logs and tagged files, and unstructured data, such as text, images, audio, and social content. That's important because modern organizations don't rely just on one kind of data. And I think we talked about this kind of data way back in week 1. Now we're showing how that data is applied. In the center, the analytics layer shows where the data is processed and interpreted. This is where organizations use analytical tools to organize, filter, combine, and examine large and fast-moving data sets for patterns and insight. And on the right, the outputs show why this matter, that big data can support better customer insight, stronger operational monitoring, and better awareness of market trends and risk. So the value of big data is not just that there's more of it. The value is it can expand both the scale and the speed of decision making. The takeaway here is that big data allows organizations to move beyond intuition toward more systematic, data-driven decisions. Data warehouses create stable foundation for analysis. The data warehouse is a key foundation for business intelligence. And again, we've discussed these prior, and now we're showing how they're applied. If business intelligence depends on turning data into insight, then organizations need a place where all that data can be collected, organized, and made available for analysis in a consistent way. That's the role of a data warehouse. This visual shows this logic. On the left, multiple operational systems and data sources feed into the data warehouse. In the center, the warehouse serves as a centralized structured repository. And on the right, dashboards, reports, and trend analysis draw from a shared foundation. A data warehouse is different from transaction systems that run day-to-day operations. It's designed to support reporting, comparison, and analysis across time and across functions. And that makes it especially useful for managers who need a broader and more reliable view of performance. And from a managerial standpoint, the value is shared visibility. Instead of relying on disconnected spreadsheets or department-specific reports, a data warehouse helps the organization work from a more stable and integrated base for analysis. And that supports trend review, performance monitoring, and more informed decisions. Data mining reveals patterns managers might miss. Now we build on the data warehouses by showing that organizations can do once it's stored and organized for analysis. Data mining refers to the use of statistical, mathematical, and machine learning techniques to discover patterns, relationships, and trends with large data sets. This visual helps to show that process. On the left, the organization has a large body of stored data. In the center, analytical techniques are used to search for patterns, clusters, anomalies, and relationships that would not be obvious in routine reports. And on the right, those findings become more decision-relevant insights, such as customer segments, fraud alerts, forecasts, or process improvement opportunities. From a managerial perspective, data mining helps organizations move beyond simply asking what happened. It helps them identify deeper connections in the data, such as which customers are most likely to respond to an offer, where abnormal behavior may be occurring, what demand patterns are emerging, or where processes may be underperforming. The key distinction is that business intelligence helps make data visible, but data mining helps uncover what may not be immediately visible. In that sense, data mining strengthens decision support by helping managers see relationships they might otherwise overlook. Dashboards make performance visible at a glance. So here we shift from data analysis to data representation. Dashboards are one of the most visible and widely used business intelligence tools because they bring important information together in a format that managers can scan quickly. This image shows that clearly. Instead of searching through multiple reports or raw data tables, the manager can view key indicators and trend lines, status panels, and alerts in one place. That makes it easier to recognize what's on track, what's changing, and what may need attention. From a managerial standpoint, the value of a dashboard is immediate visibility. A dashboard helps decision makers see how the organization, department, or process is performing in real time or right now. It can highlight whether performance is meeting expectations, where results are shifting, and where exceptions are emerging before they become larger problems. A well-designed dashboard supports broader decisions by making the most relevant information visible and timely and easier to interpret. Dashboards are one of the clearest examples of how business intelligence turns complex data into accessible performance visibility. Another term for dashboards that's used sometimes is they're called information radiators. So they radiate information out to stakeholders or to team members and things like that. So it's an information radiator, a dashboard is. Another type of information representation are scorecards. Scorecards connect metrics to strategy. This slide distinguishes scorecards from dashboard. A dashboard is often designed for quick visibility into current conditions, trends, and exceptions. A scorecard, by contrast, is more explicitly tied to strategy. This visual reflects that difference by organizing performance measures around goals, targets, and progress indicators rather than just showing current activity. This is important because organizations can monitor many metrics without necessarily focusing on what's most important. So they can look at everything without having to focus on what's most important. So they're looking at this from a strategy perspective. Scorecards helps narrow attention to the measures that reflect strategic priorities. It links objectives, targets, and performance measures so that managers can see whether the organization is progressing in the intended direction. From a managerial standpoint, scorecards strengthen alignment and accountability. They help teams understand not just how they're performing operationally, but whether that performance is contributing to the broader business outcomes. And in that sense, dashboards help managers see performance quickly, while scorecards help them judge performance against what the organization is trying to achieve. So dashboards are more immediate, where scorecards represent a more strategic path. Predictive analytics helps managers anticipate change. So we're going to shift now from seeing performance to anticipating what may happen next. Predictive analytics uses historical data, patterns, and statistical models to estimate likely future outcomes. Here we show that progression. On the left, the slide begins with a historical organizational data such as past sales, customer behavior, operational trends, and in the center, predictive analytics applies modeling and pattern recognition to that data. And on the right, the outcomes become future-oriented forecasts such as projected demand, risk indicators, churn likelihood, or capacity planning needs. From a managerial standpoint, this matters because many important decisions can't wait until the results are fully visible. Organizations often need to forecast demand, anticipate customer behavior, identify risk, or prepare for performance shifts before those changes fully materialize. This doesn't mean predictions are perfect. Predictive analytics provides estimates based on available data and modeled relationships, not certainty. But even imperfect forecasts can improve decisions when they help managers prepare earlier, allocate resources more effectively and respond before issues become more costly or disruptive. The main point of this slide is that predictive analytics extends business intelligence from visibility into anticipation. It helps organizations move from asking what is happening to asking what is likely to happen next. Decision support systems improve judgment under complexity. This slide brings the presentation directly into decision support systems. A decision support systems, or DSS, is designed to help managers make decisions that are more complex than routine operational choices. These are often situations where there's no single obvious answer and where judgment is still required. This visual here on the slide shows that logic. On the left, multiple inputs feed into the decision process, such as data, forecasts, assumptions, and analytical models. In the center, the DSS helps organize those inputs through comparisons, scenarios, and what-if analysis. On the right, the manager or team uses those outputs to evaluate options and make more informed choice. This distinction is important because transaction systems handle routine processing and dashboards help managers monitor performance, but decision support systems are especially useful when managers need to explore alternatives, compare scenarios, or evaluate likely outcomes before acting. From a managerial standpoint, the key value is better judgment under conditions of uncertainty, complexity, or trade-offs. A decision support system doesn't make the decision for the manager. Instead, it helps structure the decision, organize relevant information, and improve quality of analysis. That's why decision support systems are often especially useful in areas such as finance, marketing, logistics, and strategic planning. The main message is that decision support systems strengthen managerial decision-making when problems are too complex for simple reports or routine rules alone. Business intelligence and decision support systems work best together. Now we bring these ideas together. Business intelligence and decision support systems are closely related, but they're not identical. So here we show that relationship. On one side, business intelligence is focused on visibility through dashboards, reports, KPIs, and trend analysis. On the other side, decision support systems is focused on decision analysis through scenarios, comparison, projected outcomes, and trade-offs. And together, these two sides connect in the managerial decision space. This relationship is important. A manager may use business intelligence to identify that sales are declining in a region, or that customer response rates are changing, or that operational performance is slipping. A decision support system then helps move from awareness to evaluation by supporting questions such as what options are available, what trade-offs are involved, and what outcomes are most likely under different choices. And from a managerial perspective, BI supports understanding, while DSS supports decision analysis. And when they're used together, organizations are better positioned not only to see what's happening, but also respond more thoughtfully. The main point is that BI and DSS are most valuable when they work together as part of a broader decision environment. One improves visibility, the other improves judgment, and together they strengthen organizational decision making. Poor data can still produce poor decisions. Here we have an important caution to what we've been talking about this week's discussion. Business intelligence and decision support systems can significantly improve visibility and analysis, but they don't eliminate the risk of poor decisions. If the underlying data is inaccurate, incomplete, outdated, or biased, the outputs may still be misleading, even when they appear polished and convincing. This is an important point because dashboards, forecasts, and scenario models can often create a false sense of confidence. A chart may look clear, a recommendation may seem data-driven, but the quality of the conclusion still depends on the quality of the inputs and the assumptions behind the analysis. Strong visuals don't automatically mean strong judgment. Managerially, This is where interpretation remains essential. Managers still need to ask whether the right data is being used, whether important context is missing, whether the measures actually reflect what matters, and whether conclusions make sense in a real organizational environment. So the main message is that BI and DSS support better decisions, but they don't replace managerial responsibility. Better tools help, but sound decisions still depend on data quality, thoughtful interpretation, and critical judgment. So don't forget your critical thinking. Better decisions depend on turning data into usable insight and informed judgment. So now we're going to bring the week together. The central idea is that organizations create more decision value when they move beyond simply collecting data and instead turn it into usable insight and informed judgment. Here we summarize that progression by bringing together the major concepts from the presentation: business intelligence, data warehouses, data mining, dashboards, scorecards, predictive analytics, and decision support systems. Together, they show how organizations move from data collection and analysis to visibility, forecasting, and more informed managerial action. Across the presentation, we saw that business intelligence improves visibility by organizing and presenting information in ways managers can interpret more easily. Dashboards and scorecards help make performance visible, while data warehouses and data mining strengthen the analytical foundation behind that visibility. And predictive analytics extends the conversation by helping managers look ahead rather than only reviewing the past. The decision support systems then build on that foundation by helping managers evaluate alternatives, compare likely outcomes, and make more thoughtful choices in complex situations. And at the same time, one of the most important reminders from this week is that better tools don't automatically guarantee better decisions. Data quality, assumptions, context, and managerial judgment still matter. The overall takeaway is that business intelligence and decision support are most valuable when they work together to help organizations see more clearly, think more carefully, and respond more efficiently. So looking ahead a little bit to week 7, cybersecurity and IT governance. Better information systems still depend on security and governance. This look ahead slide connects week 6 to the next stage of the course. This week focused on how organizations use business intelligence and decision support tools to turn data into insight and improve decision making. Here we show the transition clearly by moving from analytics and decision support to security and governance. And that reflects an important idea that the value of information systems depends not only on insight, but also on protection, control, and responsible oversight. So as organizations depend more on data, digital systems, dashboards, and decisions tools, they also face greater exposure to cybersecurity risk, privacy concerns, access issues, and questions of accountability. Strong analytics has limited value if systems are vulnerable, if data can't be trusted, or if technology decisions are poorly governed. So the transition into week 7 is a natural one. After examining how information systems support decisions, the course now turns to how organizations protect those systems and govern them effectively. The next presentation will focus on the structures, controls, and responsibilities that help ensure information systems remain secure, aligned, and sustainable. And that is the end of the presentation. This week's key reminder is that data matters most when it helps people make better decisions. We can call this one done. And the discussions, questions have been great, and I've been enjoying reading y'all's work. Just keep it up. Keep up the good work. We'll see you next week. Good night.